Hey everyone, and welcome back. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today because we're looking at something truly monumental. If you're fascinated by the intersection of obsessive artistry, unbelievable history, and cinematic triumph, you are in the perfect place. Today, we're unpacking the anatomy of an absolute epic, the 1960 Indian historical drama MughalEAzam. Let's dissect exactly how this project survived literal decades of development hell to become an untouchable milestone in global cinema.
16. I really want to hook you immediately with this staggering number. 16 years. That is the incredible amount of time it took from the project's inception in 1944 to its eventual release in 1960. I mean, just think about that for a second. 16 years of shifting casts, massive political upheaval, and total financial ruin, all driven by one director's unyielding vision. How does a film even survive that long in production?
Okay, let's dive right into this. Section 1, A Tale of Forbidden Love, a 16th Century Legend. Before we get into all the chaotic behind-the-scenes madness, we really need to understand the core narrative and the massive stakes that made this entire 16-year journey worth it in the first place. So, at the heart of the story, MughalEAzam revolves around Anarkali, a name which beautifully translates to pomegranate blossom. She's a stunning court dancer who completely captures the heart of Prince Salim, the spoiled but eventually distinguished soldier who's next in line for the Mughal Empire. The massive problem here? Salim's father, the incredibly unyielding Emperor Akbar, flat-out disapproves of a prince marrying a dancer. This creates a dramatic, high-stakes love triangle, but not your typical romance. It's a bitter clash between a father, a son, and the woman caught right in the middle.
Now, what elevates this film from just a simple romance to a massive national allegory is its central conflict. On one side, you have the delicate blossom of passionate, private, individual love between Salim and Anarkali. But on the exact opposite side, you have the heavy crown of Emperor Akbar, representing the uncompromising duty to the state and the nation. The emperor struggles so deeply between his personal desires as a loving father and his public duties as a ruler. This isn't just boy meets girl, it's literally a war between personal freedom and the crushing weight of societal expectation.
And this epic conflict? It was delivered through dialogue that is still actively studied today. Author Ashish Nandy sums it up perfectly. He says, "The characters of MughalEAzam do not just speak. They refine communication, they distill it, they crystallize it into many-faceted glittering gems. They make poetry of ordinary language." The chaste Urdu dialogue written for this film gave it these incredibly rich plots, intricate characters, and the grand overtones of a literal Shakespearean drama.
Section 2, Decades in the Making, Surviving Development Hell. So we've got a brilliant script and a dramatic Shakespearean premise. But actually getting that vision onto a screen, that was a totally different beast. Let's look at the literal, agonizing process this production had to endure.
Let's move through the timeline and see how this builds, because it's an agonizingly long journey to the theater. It starts way back in 1922 when Imtiaz Ali Taj wrote the original order play. The film project itself finally kicked off in 1944 under director K. Asif. They started shooting in 1946, but then came 1947, a massive, pivotal year. The partition of India completely stalled production. It wasn't until the 1950s that filming actually restarted, dragging on until the film finally saw the light of day in August 1960. But you know, those timeline dates hide some absolutely wild behind-the-scenes drama. The 1947 partition didn't just casually pause the film. The political tensions and communal rioting forced the original financier to migrate to Pakistan, leaving the director with literally zero money. Then, in 1949, the original actor chosen to play Emperor Akbar tragically died of a heart attack. The entire cast had to be completely scrapped and replaced. And to save the movie, the director somehow secured funding from Shapoorji Pallonji, a business tycoon who had absolutely zero film production experience but just happened to have a keen interest in the history of Emperor Akbar. The production itself was an epic saga of survival. Section 3, The Price of Perfection, Obsession, and Grandeur. So, with a new cast and a new financier, you might think things went smoothly from there on out. Well, they didn't. Let's shift gears to the obsessive, grandiose details of the actual production under director K. Asif. Just to contextualize for you how wildly ambitious this project was, especially when compared to today's CGI-heavy filmmaking, where so much is just built on a computer, think about this stark contrast. A normal Hindi film in the 1960s took somewhere between 60 and 125 days to shoot. MughalEAzam took 500 shooting days. 500! Some sequences were shot with up to 14 cameras, which was completely unheard of at the time. The cinematographer reportedly took up to 8 hours just to light a single shot. Asif was building a massive, bloated schedule out of a sheer, unrelenting pursuit of perfection. And all that perfection cost an absolute fortune. Get this astronomical figure, 1.5 million rupees. That was the cost of just one single set. The famous Sheesh Mahal, or Palace of Mirrors, that amount was more than the budget of an entire standard film at the time. It took 2 solid years to build this replica of the Lahore fort, measuring 150 feet long, covered in tiny mirrors made of imported Belgian glass. The sets were so lavish that the film's financiers constantly feared they were going straight into bankruptcy. And this brilliantly illustrates the scale of it all. To build this authentic spectacle, they sourced master craftsmen from across the entire continent. They brought in tailors from Delhi for the embroidery, goldsmiths from Hyderabad for the authentic jewelry, and blacksmiths from Rajasthan to forge real armor, shields, and swords. And for the battle sequence, they didn't use special effects, no. They used 2,000 camels, 400 horses, and 8,000 real troops from the Indian Army's Jaipur cavalry. The actors matched this colossal scale with their own intense dedication. Prithvi Kapoor, who finally stepped into the role of Emperor Akbar, had a fascinating transformation process. Before applying his makeup, he would say to the crew, "Prithvi Kapoor is now going." And after the makeup was applied, he would announce, "Akbar is now coming." He wore heavy, suffocating costumes in the intense heat and even suffered actual blisters on his feet after walking barefoot in the desert just to nail a specific sequence. But perhaps the heaviest physical toll of all was borne by the legendary actress Madhubala, who played Anarkali. Imagine wearing real, heavy iron chains during your prison sequences. Madhubala did exactly that. She endured terrible skin abrasions and even fainted on set. What's absolutely crucial to remember here is that she was secretly suffering from a severe congenital heart condition throughout the filming. The grueling physical toll on her mirrored the agonizing on-screen drama, making her performance not just great, but completely legendary. Section 4, a box office phenomenon, shattering records. So after 500 days of shooting, millions of rupees, and immense physical strain, the film was finally ready. Let's see what happened when this mammoth project finally hit theaters in August 1960. Picture this number in your head, 100,000. That is the estimated number of people who gathered outside Mumbai's 1,100-capacity Maratha Mandir cinema the day before bookings even opened. People were queuing for 4 to 5 days. Family members were literally bringing them food from home just so they wouldn't lose their spot in the ticket line. The chaos was so massive that police intervention was required, and the cinema eventually had to close bookings for 3 whole weeks. Now, what's really interesting about this is the sheer economics of the hype. Just look at the staggering price difference. A regular Hindi film ticket in 1960 cost about 1.5 rupees. But for MughalEAzam, the premiere tickets were sold as beautiful, specially crafted dockets containing text, photos, and trivia about the film. The cost? 100 rupees. That is an absolutely astronomical markup, but audiences were more than willing to pay it to witness the grand spectacle. Those dockets? They're highly sought-after collector's items today. And the revenue completely backed up the hype. The film earned a net revenue of 55 million rupees. It completely shattered box office records, holding the title of the highest-grossing Indian film for a massive 15 years, until Sholay was released in 1975. Modern estimates suggest that MughalEAzam sold between 120 and 150 million tickets worldwide. It was an unparalleled financial triumph that proved K. Asif's obsessive perfectionism had, incredibly, actually paid off. Section 5, the immortal masterpiece, a lasting legacy. The financial success was really just the beginning. Let's bring this explainer into the modern era to understand the film's incredible legacy and how it was uniquely resurrected for a whole new generation. Critically, the film was an absolute juggernaut. It won the National Film Award for Best Feature Film in Hindi, along with 3 Filmfare Awards for Best Film, Best Cinematography, and Best Dialogue. Critics praised every single aspect of it, the grandeur, the attention to detail, and the performances. Even decades later, it is still frequently hailed by film scholars and critics as the Indian equivalent of Hollywood's Gone with the Wind. It firmly anchored its undisputed place in cinema history. Now, director K. Asif always had this unfulfilled dream of releasing the entire film in color. He originally could only afford to shoot a few reels in Technicolor. Well, in 2004, a massive technological effort got that dream to life through a painstaking 4-step process. Step 1, clean and restore the heavily damaged original negatives. Step 2, digitally scan all 300,000 individual frames. Step 3,
A team spent 18 months developing custom effects plus software just to ensure the added colors exactly matched the historical shades of the era. And finally, step 4. Experts hand-corrected every single shot over a grueling 10-month period.
The result was a stunning 177-minute color version. This made absolute history. It was the first full-length black and white feature film in any language to be fully digitally colorized for a wide theatrical re-release. And incredibly, 44 years after its original debut, this slightly trimmed new version was a commercial hit all over again, drawing huge crowds and proving the utter timelessness of the story.
So the crucial point is that MughalEAzam isn't just a movie. It's a revered, untouchable artifact of pop culture. When modern Bollywood superstar Shah Rukh Khan produced a documentary tribute to the film, he was asked if he thought it should ever be remade. His response perfectly captures the industry's deep reverence. He said, "It is the mother of all films. Mothers cannot be remade."
Which leaves us with this final provocative thought. Can modern cinema ever replicate the mother of all epics? In an era of CGI, green screens, and super tight studio schedules, could we ever again see the sheer madness, the 500-day shoots, the authentic craftsmanship, and the unrelenting ambition that birthed MughalEAzam? It's something for you to ponder as you reflect on the incredible history we've just uncovered today.